Morning. Is my volume okay? My lovely bride is on. My volume all right, guys. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. We have a lot to cover this morning. AWS 1499. Good morning, Donald. And 9 folks on already. Donald says 5 by 5. Fantastic. Volume's good to go. Love it. I got a little echo this morning. I'm not wearing my lapel mic because I'm going to be showing you guys. John says good morning. Fantastic. And volume's good. I'm going to be showing you guys the shark bite and my actual concealed carry rig. So I'm going to be getting up here in a minute, and I don't want the lapel mic to get in the way. Wow, good. 12 folks are on this morning. Let's see. Louder is better. Yeah, same here, man. Let's see who's on this morning. Donald is on. My lovely bride is on. Rich is on. Mark is on. John is on. Gerald is on. My brother Jeff is on. Greg is on. John is on. Kevin, Troy. All right. Fantastic. Hey, good morning to you guys that are watching me live. I appreciate you getting up early on a Friday morning. Man, we got so much to cover. There's so much wacky stuff going on. I'm sorry. I had to clear my throat. Morning and welcome to Coffee with the Rich. If you're new to Coffee with the Rich, I'm Rich Brown, the co-host and co-founder of the American Warrior Society and the American Warrior Show. I'm a retired Marine Corps officer, former cop, former special operations officer in the Sheriff's Department, Red Cross regional manager for disaster preparedness and government operations. I got a whole lengthy bio if you want to read all the details. Please feel free to go and do that at theamericanwarriorsociety.com. Okay, man, without further ado, let's get into it. Like I said, we got a lot to cover. And every Friday morning, you know, I'm going to tell you about a few things. I'm going to tell you about an article you need to read, which are absolutely free. I'm going to tell you about a show you need to check out. I'm going to tell you about a gadget you need to try. I'm going to tell you maybe a little bit about the law or some kind of crazy current event that's going on. And then we're going to finish it up with a discussion about the training vault and why you might want to check that out. So the article that I got for you this morning is called Better Passwords: The Basic Marksmanship of Digital Security. So this was written by Justin Carroll, and Justin Carroll's a good friend of mine. He's done some contracting with a 3-letter agency for a few years. Before that, he was a MARSOC operator and a Force Reconnaissance Marine, etc. Well, now Justin owns a couple of different things. Operational-security.com. He still trains government agents and entities in how to reduce their digital footprint overseas as well as domestically, as well as some other things that he teaches them. But he authored this article for us, and again, it's entitled Better Passwords: The Basic Marksmanship of Digital Security. And there's a couple things that Justin goes over here. The length of your password should be equal to or greater than 30 characters. And one of the things that this length gives you, it makes it difficult to crack. If you have a 6-digit code, there's no human being that's going to be sitting there pressing all that in. It's going to be a computer that's running millions a second. So you need that greater length. You also need greater complexity and unpredictability in your code. So let's say, for example, that, I don't know if you guys know it or not, but actually pressing the space bar is a character in and of itself. So that's a character. So if you said, if I typed dog space, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4 characters. And then I type spoon and then space and something else that has nothing to do with dog or spoon. I'm starting to whittle into complexity. No repeats. So if I use a password for the American Warrior Society, our training vault, I should never use that password anywhere else. And finally, password managers. And I highly recommend this, as does Justin, and that is, the password manager that he and I recommend is one called KeyPass XC. and that's spelled KEEPASSXC. It's absolutely free. The article doesn't cost you anything to read, and neither does KeePassXC. KeePassXC creates a vault inside your computer that you have to have one password to get into, and then once you get in, it stores everything. The links to all your stuff, the passwords to all your stuff. It'll create complex, like some of my passwords are 90 characters long. So again, I encourage you to read that article, because a lot of times, those of us in this community that we find ourselves in, the gun and self-defense community, we think of keeping ourselves safe walking down some dark alley at night, but then our digital life that we spend on the computer or on our phone, we're completely vulnerable to those attacks. So please give that a read. And the last thing I would tell you is, I give a link to something that Justin has offered for years for free, is his 30-day challenge. And Justin's 30-day challenge is every single day, he gives you something very easy to do. You can do it in about 15 minutes to increase your safety and security on the internet. So I encourage you to take the 30-day challenge. I've done it. I believe my partner, Mr. Mike Seeklander's done it, and it'll take care of you. So before I go any further, let's see what we got here. Elkie Monroe has finally joined us. Good morning, Elkie. Brett Parker is here. Mr. Will Parker is here. No computer would ever guess coffee with Rich. Yeah, that would be a pretty neat one. Let's see. Miko is here. Sounds good, he says. Mark says, Mr. Brown, please check your Facebook messages. I sent you something last week. I will do that, Mark. And again, if you want to reach me, the easiest way to do it is rich@AmericanWarriorSociety.com. For whatever reason, I don't get notified when Facebook messengers hit. I don't know if I've got some security thing set on my computer. People tell me they Facebook message me all the time. I don't get it. I don't see it. Send it to rich@AmericanWarriorSociety.com, and I promise you I will get it. But I will check, Mark, see if I can find that. Elkie says not sure about free third-party password apps, but Apple Keychain for the iPhone is $800 and get a free iPhone with it. Yeah, there's a couple different things with KeePass. You know, Elkie's point though is, if you get a free product, a free download, or a free app, then you're the product. If you pay for that app, more often than not, you're not the product. And what I mean by that is, if you get the free app, they're going to take your data and monetize it. Now they'll say that they anonymize the data so that nobody's ever going to know, bro, that we're using Rich Brown's data. But they have proven time and again, journalists have proven time and again, that if you buy anonymized data, you can easily figure out who it is. Case in point, these journalists in New York City buy some anonymized data, and all they get is little blips moving around the city. And you would think, okay, well, that's pretty useless, until you zoom in on the mayor of New York City's office. And every day you see the same little eight blips converge on the mayor's office. And then when the mayor travels around to a ribbon cutting, or he goes to this, the same little 8 people go where the mayor goes. And it's easy to look back in time and see where the mayor of New York City was on any given day. And then they watch those same little 8 people go back to their homes at night. And now they know where the mayor's security detail live. So your point is well made. However, I will tell you that if Justin and some of the other security nerds that are terrified about this stuff recommend it, and they've done the research, I'll have to take their word for it. Anyway, we got 27 folks on live, and thank you for joining me this morning, Coffee with Rich. Check out his 30-day challenge, man. It's absolutely free. It doesn't cost you anything. It'll keep you safe. Show number 124. While we're on the subject of my good friend, former MARSOC Marine, former contractor, he did a show with us called Physical Security Measures to Harden Your Castle. It is an outstanding show. And Justin wrote the book, literally him and I forget who his co-author was, but they wrote the book on all this stuff. Man, it'll be a gadget. I may do it next week. But I really love this book. But we'll talk about that next week. What I wanted to say is he has forgotten more about physical security measures than anyone I've ever met in my 50 years on this planet. Please check out show number 124. Justin's going to teach you how to harden your castle. So it's not just about reducing and hardening your digital presence. He can also teach you about hardening your physical structure. So check that out. Okay, wow, a lot of folks on this morning, got 30 people on. I haven't seen my old partner in crime, Mr. Mike Seeklener, because he's texting me right now asking if I'm doing Coffee with Rich. I can't respond because I'd have to stop the live feed. And that's okay. Good morning to the 27 folks that are joining us. So last week I had a question. Rich, how do you run your shark bite? And so if you're like, Rich, I don't know what the shark bite is. I wasn't on here last week. I'm going to show you. The shark bite is an all plastic knife. The sheath is plastic. The knife is plastic. If you've been joining me for a while, you've seen this on here before. It's a pretty interesting little gadget. It's for non-permissive carry. Most other plastic knives, carbon fiber, some polymer, ceramics and stuff like this, they can give a signature sometimes. This won't. It's a really interesting idea, and I've got it on a piece of 550 cord. The problem with this knife is if you search far and wide, you will not hardly find anybody showing you how they run this shark bite. I'm going to show you how I do it. There's a bazillion ways to do it. Looks like Mike's finally on here. Good morning, Mr. Mike. Glad to have you join us. So this little shark bite is a pretty interesting tool. I'm going to show you how to use it. I think you can pick them up on Amazon for less than $10 while you still can. I know that the state of New York sent a letter to K-Bar, which manufactures the shark bite, saying please stop making these things because they are pretty cool. I'm going to show you how I run it. So I don't know if you can see this or not. So I take it, loop it through my belt. Okay, with me so far? And then because we're going non-permissive carry, I tuck it in when I go in. Once I get inside where I'm going, I will go ahead and pull it up. And if I have to draw, the draw stroke is very similar to how I draw my firearm. And it will just hang there, and when I need to reholster it, and I put it back on. I hope that made sense. Any questions on how I run my shark bite? Somebody asked last week, folk, when I asked for questions, and that was the only question I got, so I thought I would show you guys. Not real hard, but what I will tell you is because this is unlike any other knife you've probably ever drawn because it's got a snap in the center, it creates a unique problem in that you can't just draw it straight out. It absolutely will not come out. So it had to be something where the pivot point became in the back like that and it could break away. So I had to play with a long time to figure out how to make it work. I couldn't find anything on YouTube on how people were running these. So that's how I came up with it. Anyway, hope that answered the mail. We got 37, 38 folks on. If you're joining me this morning, we're not just talking about the TDI shark bite, which is a knife for non-permissive carry. Am I telling you to carry in places that you can't carry or shouldn't carry? It's not legal to carry? No, I'm not telling you that. What I am telling you is you have to make up your mind as to what is appropriate or not. Now, I'm a law follower generally, most times, so I won't necessarily carry this thing somewhere where I can walk through a metal detector with it. But if I'm going to a sporting venue or a concert or something like that, I have no problem breaking the venue's little silly rules, and I may carry this guy. And the worst that will happen is probably going to tell me, you're banned from the Thompson Bowling Arena, you can never come back. So, all right, so if you're joining me, 39 folks joining me live with Coffee with Rich, thank you and welcome. My name is Rich Brown, if you don't know. I'm a retired Marine officer, former cop, former Sheriff's Department Special Operations guy, former Red Cross disaster preparedness guy, government ops guy, blah, blah, blah. Got 41 folks on. Check out the bio, AmericanWarriorSociety.com if you want to know more. All right, swag, as you can tell, I'm rocking my American Warrior Society hoodie. Love this thing. Took it to Europe with me. Although I only wore it out in the Highlands because on the back it says American Warrior Society. Would this thing give me away as an American? Yes, it would. So I only wore it in places that I was a little more off the grid. Let's see who's on this morning real quick. Gerald says, yeah, built by Precision Holsters. That's right. And here in a minute, I'm going to show you one of the gadgets this morning is going to be my actual rig from Precision Holsters. Love their products. They are a sponsor of the show. Yes, that is true, but I'll be wearing their stuff regardless. Will says the way that I'm carrying is how Adam Boyce told him to carry. And if you don't know Adam, Adam is an American Warrior Society member and an absolute deadly guy with a knife. You do not want to mess around with Adam, I'm going to tell you right now. Rich says, thanks for going over that, Rich. Would you consider a neck carry? I've had neck knives on here before. I'm not a big fan, man. There's several reasons for that. I think you're better served putting that knife somewhere else other than on your neck. I've played around with it, digging up under the shirt and pulling it out. Because I do jiu-jitsu, if I'm ever on the ground and need access to a knife, it would probably be easier for me because I could pull it off my boot. So what a lot of people will run as a neck knife, I think it's better to run as a boot knife. But we can do another show on that one. And I did one on it some time ago, but go back and check that out. Scott, Mark says, simple technique, however, seems highly effective. Scott says, good morning, brother. Thanks for sharing. Mike says, Zoom session was awesome last night. If you don't know what a Zoom session is, up to 44 members. Thanks for joining me. My partner in crime, Mr. Mike Seeklander, has been doing these Zoom sessions where he actually, if you're a member of the American Warrior Society, you can actually get on there, turn on your screen, and Mike will give you, Mike Seeklander, IDPA current world champion, ESP division, will tell you what you're doing wrong. He actually coaches you live over the internet. So it's an amazing tool, absolutely free as part of your membership to the American Warrior Society. Okay, please like, share, and let's see how many we can get on here. And if we hit 50, I'm going to reach into my grab bag and send you guys something. Okay, so we talked about that. I want to talk about the coronavirus real quick, man. I've put some things out there about it, and a lot of people seem to be like, Rich, why are you boring me with this coronavirus? Well, when I was with the Red Cross, and I was a member of the Tennessee Emergency Services Coordinators Group and all this stuff, and at the governor's mansion eating breakfast and all this kind of crap, we would bring in speakers to talk about Ebola, because in 2015, Ebola was big in Africa. It had actually jumped over here to the United States. And I'm telling you right now, the stories that these doctors who had been working in Africa were bringing back regarding Ebola were absolutely chilling. So a couple things that I want to share with you real quick. I would encourage you to go watch the movie Contagion. I don't think I've ever done this before on the several months I've been doing Coffee with Rich. I'm going to recommend you watch this movie, Contagion. You can pick this up. I think I bought this at Walmart in one of those bins, $3, and it comes with 2 movies, Outbreak, which is kind of loosely based on a book called The Hot Zone. You need to watch that too, but I really want you to watch Contagion because not only is it a well-done movie, but the outbreak that we're suffering right now is creepy similar to Contagion. In the movie Contagion, there's a bat that contaminates a pig in China, and then the virus that the bat gives to the pig jumps to humans. Well, guess what? The coronavirus was a bat in China. And you see how it starts in China and spreads around the world. So, fascinating movie, eerily similar to what's going on right now. One of the things they talk about is that these people that study viruses will talk about is the R naught or R value of a virus. And this is something that if you ever see that, you might want to key into it. The R value is the average number of people who will catch the virus from actually another person. Now, they've figured out pretty much that the coronavirus started from people eating bat soup. in China. I know that sounds disgusting, but that's how they got it. Now, the R value of measles, for example, is 12 to 16. So one person with measles will infect 12 to 16 other people. The coronavirus right now is running about 1.4 to 5. And the reason that there's such a broad span there with that R naught value is that they don't have enough data to give an accurate number. And the lethality is running about 2.8 from what I can figure. So you can do all this math yourself. When they tell you the R value is this, and currently there are this many people infected, you can do the projected math yourself. I've been doing it and tracking it myself. The lethality is really easy. There's 160 people dead and 6,000 people infected. So, you do the math. But you need to watch it because I'm telling you, man, it's something we don't want to play with. And I think Americans on the internet, it's like, well, it's not really here. There's only 5 cases or 6 cases in America. We live in an interconnected world. I was on an international flight less than 2 weeks ago. Look around the flight, listen to the voices that are on that flight, man. Everybody's speaking a different language. Everybody's going to a different place. If one person had a virus on that flight that I was on, watch out. So, all right, let's see who's on here real quick. I see some smart aleck comments. I love it. Bruce is on. Good morning, Bruce. See, Chad says that Rich has a face for radio. I don't appreciate that. I'm just kidding. Paul is joining us. Good morning, Paul. Tim is in Japan, I think. Oh, konnichiwa from Japan. Yeah. Good morning, Tim. Ohio gozaimasu. That's Japanese for good morning. Paul said, good morning, Rich. Sorry I'm late. Okay, we're at 55. Somebody just won something. I don't know. I'm going to reach into the grab bag today and see what I can get you guys. So, we talked about the coronavirus because, again, American Warrior Society is not just a gun podcast. It's not just a self-defense podcast. It's a safety and security podcast. And so is this show. So we're going to talk about things like the coronavirus. We're going to talk about things like the shark bite. We're going to talk about all that kind of stuff. Before I leave the coronavirus, I want to encourage you to not, I'm asking you to watch a movie, but if you really want to dig deeper, read this book, The Demon in the Freezer. I couldn't find my book, The Hot Zone, but this is an interesting one that talks about some of the really creepy stuff that our government is studying, and I'm telling you right now, terrifying. You want to learn how, guns, germs, and steel. If you haven't read this, you really need to. It's how kind of folks from Europe conquered the world using guns, germs, and steel. Germs are very important, and that's very relevant. Then if you want to know how those viruses exploit your genomic data to wreak havoc on your body, you can read Matt Ridley's amazing book, Genome. Lots of great books out there, man. I encourage you to check them out. Viruses are one of those things that don't give a shit about how awesome you are. They don't care about what a stud you are, how much you can deadlift. If you get it, you may die. So, and there's a few simple precautions that you can take. Wash your freaking hands is a big one, and you'll be safer for it. So again, watch the movie Contagion, read up on the stuff. We're due for a big pandemic, and there are some things you can do to keep you and your family safer. That's all I'm gonna say on that. All right, the gadget this morning, man. I don't know why I haven't done this sooner, but I'm gonna show you my actual concealed carry rig. So here is my Precision Holsters Ultra Appendix holster. It's an empty magazine and an unloaded clear firearm. But I'm showing you, I like to run my Glock 26 with a Glock 19 magazine in it, so I get 16 rounds in the gun. This holster by Precision Holsters, man, I can't speak highly enough about it. All the work that went into it. It pushes into the body, conceals really well. I'm going to show you how I use it here in just a second. I've grappled with this thing on. I love the way that the construction is. It really bites onto the belt extremely well, holds the gun in place extremely well. You can hear that click. Okay. Now, as far as putting it on, And it fits incredibly snug on the Precision Holsters belt, their tactical belt, and conceals incredibly well. Can't say enough good things about it. Really love their equipment. Of course, if you watch Coffee with Rich or the American Warrior Show, or you're a member of the American Warrior Society, they got a discount for you. They got free shipping for you. They got all that stuff. Check them out, precisionholsters.com. Like I said, full disclosure, they do sponsor the American Warrior Show, but I will tell you, I would use the gear anyway. Simple as that. So let's see who we got on here this morning. Elkie says, Hackathorn sights. No, that's a great question, man. So there's a couple things going on this since we're going to talk about it. You might see this sticking out the back. Say, Rich, what's wrong with your Glock, bro? Something's wrong. It ain't right. This right here is the striker control device, or the gadget, and it's made by Tau Development. And what this does is, if you're a Glock guy, and again, this is a clear firearm. But if you're a Glock guy and you're holstering your Glock firearm and you're concerned about what the trigger might be doing as you're sticking it down your pants, is there a piece of your shirt caught in there? This lets you know what the trigger's doing. As you can see, as I press the trigger, you can see it coming out the back. A little added safety, and people will poo-poo on it. Well, if you know the 4 cardinal safety rules, bro, you don't need to worry about that. You don't need that striker control device. And I would say, if you roll around on the ground, you never know what got inside your holster. A piece of this sweatshirt could find its way into the holster. A piece of brass could find its way in the holster. This thing will save you, especially if you carry in the appendix position. If you don't, you carry in a 4 or 5 o'clock position. Shooting yourself may not be lethal. Probably just get a skitter down your leg and you go get stitched up and you'll be fine. If you have a negligent discharge while you're holstering your handgun, a Glock handgun, and carrying in the appendix position, it could easily prove fatal, which is why I like this. The sights are Dawson sights. It's thin fiber optic front, wide rear notch, and it's a charger set, so I can actually do one-hand manipulation. All right. Let's see who else is on here this morning. So no, that's not Hackathorn sights, Dawson charger set. Let's see here. Somebody said, that's a good book. Chris says, John says, as a paramedic in a busy 911 area, your best defense from any virus is to wash your hands and wash them often. And he says, sounds silly, but it works, man. I tell people that all the time, and they almost chuckle. And then you will watch people in the bathroom that use the bathroom and then don't wash their hands. It's absolutely nuts. Will said, just to confirm, the shark bite is undetectable metal detectors. Yeah, I think you can actually watch on YouTube them. There's a lot of guys that run different metal detectors over the shark bite and other knives, and it has no metallic signature. Some things that you would think are non-metallic actually do have a metal signature. Like there's some carbon fiber knives. It just depends how the carbon fiber atoms or what have you are arranged, that sometimes they will pick up on a metal detector. Jennifer says, hi, Richie. Good morning, Jennifer. We were in the Marines together. Jennifer's a outstanding warrior. Doug says, good morning, Rich, and the rest of Warrior Nation. Gerald says, they will work with you to fit your need. Yeah, as far as Precision Holsters, is phenomenal country. Elkie has given you guys the link to the striker control device. And again, they're not a paid sponsor of the American Warrior Show. They have given me some product, but I will tell you, I use it. I compete with that striker control device on my competition Glocks. Never had an issue, ever. And I believe the ShivWorks Collective run those on their knife. Mr. Craig Douglas and them been running it on their guns that they do all their gun grappling with, rolling around the dirt. They've never had a gun fail to fire because of the striker control device. Gene says, what holster are you using for the knife? The shark bite, I'm assuming is what you're talking about. It comes with this holster. It's a plastic sheath. So, Paul says, my dad got me the shark bite for Christmas. Thanks. Okay. Good morning, Mr. Mike Seeklander. I am saying hi to you. I'm glad you finally joined us. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Yeah, and Gerald's given us a link to get the shark bite on Amazon. Why you still can? Okay, let's talk about the law, man. Well, before we go to the law, I said that I asked for some questions on our closed group. And if you remember the American Warrior Society and you are on Facebook already, then please send me a request to join our closed group, American Warrior Society coin members. You can find it, and it's a closed group. Razmik's question was, and this is something new, we haven't done this on Coffee with Rich, but I'm going to answer some questions. Is there any way you can let us know how we can navigate to access the best updated data in specific states we're going to travel to as far as rules of carrying and having anything else other than guns for personal protection with us? Example might be baseball bat, pepper spray, pocket knife, screwdriver, all that kind of stuff. I wish I could. There's U.S. Carry may have a site like that to find out where to carry, but I'm going to tell you, a lot of times I will use those websites, and there's one or two you can easily find it. There's a reciprocity map online. Let's find it. Gunstocarry.com, uscarry.com, usconcealedcarry.com. They all have reciprocity maps, and I'm sure there's a lot of other ones out there. But, you know, are you going to rely on that when you're getting a police officer wanting to pat you down because you're carrying something? I personally will go to the individual state sites. I'll use that to say, oh, okay, I didn't know I could carry in Oregon. Okay. Then I'll go to the Oregon site to make sure that that is actually up to date. As far as anything else, pepper spray, there is I saw one for pepper spray at one point, although once I started looking further than what the website was offering, I found that some of the information was not entirely correct. There was some nuance there on the law. So I'll tell you, there's really no easy way to do it. Razmik, I'm sorry. It's just a pain in the butt. Jocko, good morning from South Africa. Donald Green says pros and cons of different types of neck knives, and we spoke on that briefly. If you're a neck knife guy, I mean, rock on with it. I would encourage you to grapple on the ground with it, see what the access is going to look like. I found that as it's swinging around, I never really know where it is, and I was having to fiddle around underneath my shirt and stuff like that. It's just not a natural movement for me. I would rather carry a knife on my belt line and then maybe one in my boot. But your experience may vary. Let's see. Brett Parker says, I'm flying to Washington, D.C. this year to visit family. Even though I'm a retired law enforcement officer, I'm concerned about some cities' rules for weapons. My impression with H.R. 218 that I'm good in all 50 states, but New Jersey and New York seem to be arresting folks simply possession of guns like a 15-round magazine and stuff like that. And then Andrew Branca, who wrote The Law of Self-Defense, chimed in and said, not speaking for Rich, of course, but it is impossible to overstate the legal risk of carrying firearms in gun-hostile jurisdictions. Whatever federal law might say, it's kind of like a knife fight. You might ultimately win, but it's going to be bloody. Very, very true. We talked about this last week. I think it's amusing that I have a lifetime concealed carry in the state of Tennessee, and I can carry in 30-something states, but recently Mike and I went and trained some federal agents in a very gun-hostile state, and we had to go up there unarmed, go onto their facility, walk into their armory, let them hand us weapons and give us ammo, and then we trained them for a week and came back. So, you know, you carry at your own peril, man. I'm going to be honest with you. And if you are going to a gun-hostile state, you know, it doesn't hurt to make copies of the law and stick that in your wallet while you're there to help answer the mail for maybe the law enforcement officer that stops you that doesn't really know what the law is. But even still, it's no guarantee that you're not going to get jammed up. So you carry at your own peril, man. Mike Ronan wants to know, what's the favorite scotch that you've tried? I really love peated scotch, and if you don't know what that means, peated scotch is they take Let's back up. A single malt, as I understand it, is it only contains one malt. Like bourbon can't really say that it's a single malt because they use like 51% corn and then some rye and other things. A single malt Scotch will be all barley. And after the barley is allowed to sit in water and soak, the seeds will start to sprout. They take those seeds out of the water, they lay them out to dry, and then they will smoke the barley in peat smoke. They're actually burning a fire of peat, which is like an unfinished coal, and it'll smoke the peat. So I love peated scotches, absolutely love it. Lagavulin, Laphroaig, and Ardbeg are probably my favorite. And all three of those distilleries are within a mile of each other on the Isle of Islay in Scotland, which I was recently on Islay, and I went to the Laphroaig distillery, had an amazing time. They still roast their own, they still smoke their own peat, and I got to stick my hand in the peat fire, and it was weird because the smoke coming off the peat that was going through the barley was absolutely cold. It's pretty cool. So Laphroaig, Ardbeg, Lagavulin, all my favorites. So I had to pick a favorite. He held a gun to my head. 16-year-old Lagavulin, run you about $100 a bottle. Corbett says, you've likely discussed tactical pins. I now own a pair of them and keep one with me. The shirt pocket gets kind of torn up by the grippy surface and firm clips, so I toss it in the bag instead. TSA only looked once at it, and I seam them a couple of times a month. The pointy side of the pin might feel sharp, but one lady, I tried using it to smash an old iPhone. The glass was stronger. I dropped the phone, which did the trick, of course. Yeah, Corbett, thanks for writing in. If you're not familiar with it, he's talking about something like this. This is a tactical pin by True Spec. A friend of mine gave this to me. It's got a glass breaker on one end. It's got a handcuff key here. It had a stylus on one end. Like I said, glass breaker here. And if you unscrew it, there's a pin in here. Okay, I'm not a big fan of these big scary tactical pins because guess what? The TSA took one away from me and it was nowhere near as tactical as this one. They don't like these. And the TSA agent, the one that I had, like I said, it was just a black metal pin. All it did was write, and they're like, no, that's a Kubiton. I'm like, well, no, it's a pin. You could use anything for a Kubiton, but anyway, we got in a semantics argument. I lost, he took the pin. So, not a big fan of these. I tell you what I am a big fan of is like these metal barrel pins. This is from a company that sell these. So it looks pretty innocuous. It's not black and scary. It's just a metal pin, but I could still jam this through somebody's skull if I needed to. But more often than not, for tactical pins, I'm looking at PPCT, pressure point control tactics, and stuff like that. Digit manipulation, get a finger and pull it back. I'm going for the eyes, the nose, here, stuff like that. Clavicles. Tactical pins are great, but I prefer one that's not scary looking and is just any kind of pin will do as long as it's a metal barrel. This is actually the pin I like to write with, but it's plastic and will probably break in my hand. I can flex it right now like that, so it's probably gonna break on me. If you start running stuff that's scary like this and it's got handcuff keys and stuff like that, and people are going to look at you sideways and you're going to draw attention to yourself. I'd rather not do that. I really like the gray man idea, so take that for what it's worth. All right, before we go any further, let's see what we got here. Comments. Elke says, bought 3 shark bites, replaced the steel chain with paracord and bootlaces. Yeah, same thing. For some reason, the shark bite comes with a steel chain, which defeats the purpose. So I had to use paracord or parachute cord or 550 cord, whatever you want to call it. And they make some really cool paracord, if you didn't know this, that has, and this isn't it, but they make some that actually have a thin copper wire in it, in case you have to use it to make a snare. You can pull the cord apart and just pull that piece of copper wire out. They'll make fishing line inside the 550 cord. You pull that out, now you got some fishing line. So there's some really cool paracord out there. I encourage you to have a lot of it. But yeah, he's absolutely right. Let's see here. Mark says, Mr. Jeffrey Brown reminded me last night, fact check the info, verify the dates. The info is updated. Okay. Not sure what that is. Lagavulin, one of my favorites, Tim said. Okay, let's get into the law, man. I know I kept you on here about 40 minutes, and I'll try to wrap it up. Okay, the law. Anybody heard of VEXIT? I know you probably heard of Brexit, and Brexit is happening today. The United Kingdom is leaving the European Union. Good riddance, and good job, Mr. Boris Johnson, for shepherding your country out of that hellhole that is the European Union. And Boris Johnson, if you didn't know it or not, his grandfather was a Muslim from Turkey. So he's only like a first or second generation guy that lives born in the UK. And I know he's got blonde hair and people compare him to Trump. But this guy's grandfather, his father's father, was a Muslim man from Turkey. And then people consider him to be Islamophobic and all this other stuff. I find it humorous. Anyway, VEXIT. What is VEXIT? Well, the other day, the Democratic governor, Jim Justice, the Democratic governor of West Virginia, he was a Democrat, let me back up. 2 years ago, he switched parties and became a Republican, sorry. But he announced 2 days ago that he would welcome any Virginia county that wanted to secede with open arms. Never in my life have I ever heard a sitting governor say, hey, look, you Virginia counties that have voted sanctuary status, Second Amendment sanctuary status, I welcome you with open arms. Come on over, West Virginia will take you. And he's doing it in a very unironic way. And if you don't know, Jim Justice is worth about $2 billion, and he's the governor of one state saying, come on over, start filling out the paperwork. You've come this far, you filled out the paperwork saying you got Second Amendment sanctuary status and you're not going to do what Governor Northam wants you to do. I'll take you. Now, is that possible? It's possible. Is it probable? Absolutely not. Because the state of Virginia would have to vote and say that, okay, that those counties can go. West Virginia would have to vote, say those counties can come in. And then Congress would have to agree to that. So with all that being said, is it going to happen? Probably not. But I think it's fascinating that it's even being talked about. For those of you who don't know, this is a little Trivial Pursuit question. What state was created by the Civil War? The Civil War created a state. It created West Virginia in 1861 because that part of Virginia used to be Virginia and West Virginia used to be one state up until 1861. Those counties that are now West Virginia didn't want to go along with seceding from the Union. In 1861, they voted to have their own state, which is now called West Virginia. So when people talk about, it's Civil War around the corner, I pray to God it's not. I hope it's not. I don't think it is. But then I hear we're kind of creating some conditions that are eerily similar to what were going on in 1861. Just think about that. All right, let's talk about the training vault, man. That's about all I've got. Mike and I are going to be doing some filming soon. We got some new content coming up. We talked about the Zoom coaching sessions earlier that are only available if you're a member of the American Warrior Society. If you want to find out more about that, go to AmericanWarriorSociety.com. That's where all the free articles are located. That's where you can find out about becoming a member there as well. We're going to be filming some stuff coming up here on how to put together a go bag, get home bag, a preparedness bag, whatever you want to call it, hurricane bag. We're going to be talking about what goes in our bags, how you put one together. We're going to be doing over how do you prepare your vehicles for disasters and all kinds of other things. We're going to be talking about what Mike and I carry on the everyday. And then when we go into certain places like non-permissive environments, what do we carry? When we go overseas, what do we carry? We're going to talk about micro prepping, which my good friend Justin Carroll, which you talked about earlier, has been doing a lot of stuff with micro prepping on his blog, Swift, Silent, Deadly. We're going to talk about breaching and hardening structures and why the average everyday soccer mom needs to know a little bit about how to harden whatever structure you go into or how to breach a door. Why would a soccer mom need to know that? Well, you just have to stick around for the training vault. We're also going to be talking about battle belts. If you listen to our recent show, Bump in the Night, you heard me kind of change my ways on what I think about battle belts. So again, stay tuned for more stuff on that. Anybody have any questions for me? I'll see what we got going on here. Gerald says copper and metal detectors. I'm not sure. What I think Gerald's referencing is the fact that I said some 550 cord will have a thin copper filament line in there that you can use for passing electrical current in an emergency. And of course you can pull more out of it, cut it, and strand it together, or you can use it for snares and stuff. Will it work in a metal detector? I don't know, man. Couldn't tell you. Gerald says maybe Idaho will take Oregon counties. California's been wanting to do that a lot, man. The Northern California counties have been saying that they want to secede for a long time. It's interesting. Roger says, I use a space pen that writes upside down people. TSA doesn't bat an eye at it. It may help that I offer them a few spoonfuls of Tang. That's funny. Yeah, there's some really cool space pens. I saw one the other day. I've got a space pen somebody gave me as a going away gift when I was in the Marine Corps, but it's a bullet. You take the copper bullet out, switch it around, and now it's a space pen. Of course, TSA would freak out about that, so I don't do that. But maybe I need to give them Tang like Roger does. Maybe that's the key to the success. Bruce says, thanks, Rich, for everything you do. Have a great weekend, all. Guys, that's all I got for you. I know I kept you on here for 47 minutes. Sorry, this ran a little long. Somebody's going to be winning something from the American Warrior Society grab bag. I appreciate everybody coming on with me this morning. Remember, the fight is coming. Be ready.